Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. Better late than never. This is Jen B, and you're tuned in live to the show of the land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Well, we've got a lot to cover today, and I'm going to try and squeeze it into this 40-minute window. My computer wasn't cooperating this evening, so sorry I'm a little bit late. But we're going to talk about the Guardians, some ups and some downs, and some updates on some pitchers that are currently injured, working their way back. We'll talk about how their last week of games went and what's coming up with the Guardians. And then, sadly, we'll talk about the Browns-Steelers game and what's next for the Browns. And then we'll talk some college football, some OSU football, some Mount Union, a few other teams in there. We'll talk a little bit about the Crew, and we will talk about the Blue Jackets. They had a nice little prospects tournament this past weekend, so we'll get into that a little bit. But first, let's start with the Guardians. So the Guardians were in the middle of a series with the Giants, and they ended up going 1-2 in that series. They had lost game 1 on my last podcast, and they had game 2, I believe, that same day, and they won that one 3-1. I did not get to watch that game. I can't remember what the reason was, but I was not able to watch that game. And then game 3, I also wasn't able to watch because it was an early afternoon game and I was working, and then I was out with a girlfriend. So they lost 6-5, and Logan Allen pitched in that one. And then they came home from the West Coast. They had Thursday off and came home from the West Coast to play the Rangers in Cleveland. Game 1 was a wonderful, wonderful game. Lucas Giolito got the start, pitched 7 innings with 12 strikeouts, and the Guardians won 12-3. In the bottom of the second inning, Andres Jimenez hit a 2-run home run to bring the score to 2-0. In the bottom of the fourth, Josh Naylor had an RBI single to bring the score to 3-0. Bottom of the fifth, Ramon Laureano hit a solo home run. And then the bottom of the sixth, they went crazy. Jose Ramirez had an RBI double. Then Josh Naylor had an RBI double. Then Andres Jimenez had an RBI single. Then Will Brennan had an RBI double, bringing the score by the end of the sixth inning to 9-0. Then in the bottom of the seventh, Josh Naylor hit an RBI single, and Cole Calhoun hit a 2-run home run to bring the score to 12-0. I fell asleep after that, so I'm not really sure what happened, but at some point after the seventh inning, the Giants scored 3 runs. Not a big deal because, they were up by 12. So they won 12-3. So game 2, they also won 2-1. Tanner Bybee got the start. He ended up leaving in the 6th inning with right hip tightness. After the game, Tito said that he was going to be going for scans, so I'm not sure if there's more to that. The Guardians did post today that it was a heck of a season for him, so I'm guessing he's done for the season. I haven't seen any official word on that, but I am assuming that that's why they posted it, but I don't know for sure, because he would be up to pitch in the next couple of days. So we'll see what happens with that, but we'll get to that later also, because we've got a couple of guys coming back too. So in the bottom of the 8th inning, this game was 0-0 for like the entire game. It was a pretty boring game actually, but In the bottom of the 8th, Freeman hit an RBI single, and then Stephen Kwan hit an RBI single to bring the score to 2-1. Clase came in and got the save, his 41st. He leads the major leagues in saves, so that's pretty awesome for him. He also has like a career high of blown saves, so that sucks, but it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. Then game 3, I apparently did not write down the final score, so I don't remember what it was, but at some point it was 9-1. But they won. I know they won because they swept them. But bottom of the 4th, and it was also Jose Ramirez's birthday. He hit a solo home run. Then Andres Jimenez had an RBI single. Then Freeman had an RBI single. Then Arias had an RBI single. Then Kwan had an RBI single. Then Jose Ramirez was back up again and had an RBI ground out. And then Andres Jimenez had an RBI double to bring the score to 9-1. And I don't have any notes after that, so I don't know what happened after that. I don't remember. So they won. That's what really matters. Gavin Williams pitched that game. He pitched 6 innings with 7 strikeouts. And now they are in Kansas City playing the Royals. Game 1 was yesterday. They lost 6-4. Cal Quantrell pitched. He actually pitched very well. He is not the reason for the loss, but I will get to that in my game breakdown. So the top of the 2nd inning, Bo Naylor had an RBI double, and Straw had a sacrifice fly to bring the score to 2-0. In the top of the 4th, Arias hit a solo home run to bring the score to 3-1. Top of the 6th, Arias had a sacrifice fly to bring the score to 4-1. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Trevor Stephan came in, walked a couple, hit a batter, walked a couple more, walked a run in. So they pulled him. De Los Santos came in with bases loaded, 2 outs, and gave up a 2 RBI single, and then there was a passed ball on Bo Naylor to bring the score to 6-4, and that is how it ended at 6-4. They will be playing game 2 here in about an hour and a half, and Logan Allen will be pitching, and game 3 will be tomorrow, and then Thursday they start a 4-game series with the Orioles at home. Shane Bieber pitched in Columbus on Sunday. Tristan McKenzie is pitching in Columbus today. Bieber pitched a really good game on Sunday. I believe it was a no-hitter while he was in. So it's looking promising for him to be coming back soon. McKenzie, will see how he does tonight in Columbus, and then hopefully he will be coming back shortly too, which can help them to get Bibee out of that rotation so that whatever's wrong with his hip can heal before next season. So we'll see what happens with that, but I am guessing that that is their plan based on the post that I saw today congratulating him on a great season. So hopefully he will be just fine. He did have a great season, and he is, from what I understand, up for Rookie of the Year. So good luck to him on that. But we're going to take a short break before we get into the madness of what happened last night. So I will be back to talk about the Browns-Steelers game and what happened there. This is Jen B on the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college, and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well, then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff from my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, on to my heartbreak. The Cleveland Browns at the Steelers yesterday. Before I get into it, in the chat, we have Larry B. says, hell of a game last night. And Taryn Rodriguez says, prayers to Chubb. I hope he gets better. All right, here goes. On the first play of the game, Sean Watson to Harrison Bryant. Harrison Bryant bats the ball up in the air, and it is intercepted for a pick six. Not the way you want to start a game, especially a game against the Steelers. Thankfully, our defense is pretty solid. We got the ball back. And Dustin Hopkins kicked a 43-yard field goal. Oh, wait, we didn't have to get the ball back. Never mind, it was a pick six, so of course we got the ball back. Oh, see, I'm so flustered. You'll see why here in a moment. So Dustin Hopkins kicked a 43-yard field goal. Then Grant Delpit intercepted the Steelers on their first offensive drive. And then Deshaun Watson was sacked for a 7-yard loss on third down, sorry. And they attempted another 43-yard field goal, and it was missed wide left. Dun, dun, dun. It was awful. It was a terrible game. So anyway, then Deshaun Watson fumbled again on 4th and 1 on a quarterback sneak, and Pittsburgh recovered. Initially, it was called a first down. Then they said it was under review, and then they said it was a first down, and then Mike Tomlin threw the red flag, and then the announcer said Mike Tomlin never wins challenges. He's like 0 for 6 in his career since challenges came into being. So we're like, okay, cool. Yeah, well, it was a fumble, and Pittsburgh recovered. So, yay. So then, the defense held them and got the ball back. They were marching right down the field. Nick Chubb makes a nice run just short of the end zone and is completely and totally obliterated. And he doesn't get back up. He was sitting on the ground holding his knee. A couple of guys came over and offered to help him up. He waved them off. Attempted to roll over, rolled back over, and was screaming in pain. So he was eventually carted off the field. If you have not seen the hit, I do not recommend looking for it. It is horrendous. I have only seen a still shot of it. I don't even want to see the video. It is awful. It is absolutely awful. And I almost turned the game off at that point because who doesn't love Nick Chubb? So that was absolutely devastating, and you could tell that the rest of the team was also devastated because they played awful. I mean, that's the excuse I'm giving them. That's why they played awful. The defense was still phenomenal. The defense did great, but the offense was a mess. So following Nick Chubb being carted off the field, Deshaun Watson had a short pass to Jerome Ford for a touchdown, and then they also completed the 2-point conversion, bringing the score to 11-7. Then there was blown coverage. From what I saw, it looked like it was on Denzel Ward. I don't know. I don't know what they were supposed to be doing, but regardless, George Pickens was wide open for a 71-yard touchdown. There was a penalty on the Browns on the extra point try, so they opted to go for a 2-point conversion, and they failed to make the 2-point conversion. Najee Harris fumbled at just shy of the goal line, so it was no good. So that brought the score to 16-11. Then Dustin Hopkins kicked a 55-yard field goal, so he's all over the place, but, I guess it's better than where we were with not making anything over 40 yards. And then there was a 1-yard touchdown run by Pierre Strong, who got some playing time due to the injury to Nick Chubb, because right before that touchdown run, Jerome Ford had run for 69 yards and fallen just shy of the goal line. And then they went again for a 2-point conversion, and Deshaun Watson was successful on the 2-point conversion, bringing the score to 21-19. Then Greg Newsome left with an arm injury. Around the same time that Greg Newsome left, the announcers said that Denzel Ward had also left the field and gone into the medical tent. I've not heard anything more on Denzel Ward, so I have no idea what happened there and if he's okay or not. Greg Newsome was back out on the sidelines getting his arm wrapped. I don't know that he returned to the game, but I believe he is okay. Then there was a fumble by Njoku in the fourth quarter with about 10 and a half minutes left, and Pittsburgh recovered. On the subsequent drive, Taki had a huge sack for an 11-yard loss on third down, forcing Pittsburgh to punt. So we had a shot. There was a chance. But Deshaun Watson was sacked and fumbled, and that fumble was returned for a touchdown, bringing the score to 26-22 Pittsburgh, and that was the final score. So, of course, the entire team is devastated by the loss of Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is 110% dedicated to football. He is dedicated to Cleveland. And he's also arguably the best running back in the NFL. So, not sure what this means for the Browns going forward. They did have Kareem Hunt in today for a visit. From what I understand, they are exploring all options to get somebody else into the running back room. Of course, there is no replacing Nick Chubb because there is no one like Nick Chubb. So I don't know what is going to come of that. As of right now, Jerome Ford is running back 1 and Pierre Strong running back 2. So we'll see what happens there. We are playing the Titans on Sunday in Cleveland. So everybody bring your A game to the game and be loud. We need a win. Greg Newsome, when asked about Chubb, said this season is for Chubb. Every practice, every game is for Chubb. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I have not been able to watch anything football related since last night. I am just like, I'm in shock. I'm just absolutely in shock. Like, of all the players that could have gotten hurt, why did it have to be Nick Chubb? Why? But, you know, that's football, I guess. That is football. And I just hope that he's okay. From what I've heard, it is multiple torn ligaments at the very least. He is scheduled for surgery. I don't know when. They didn't say. They just said it's scheduled. And he will be out for the season. So prayers up for Nick Chubb and a successful recovery. And here is hoping this is not the end of his career. But it is the same knee that he injured in college. And from what I've been hearing, this injury is even worse than that one. And that one was devastating. Like, many were surprised that he even came back. And to come back as polished and as great of a runner as he is beyond amazing. But that was 8 years ago. He's not 20 anymore. So we'll see what happens with this one. But that one was a dislocated knee and 3 torn ligaments. So have not heard for certain what this one is yet, but I have heard multiple torn ligaments. And if you, like I said, if you've seen the hit, his leg bent in a way that it's not supposed to bend. So it does not look good at all. So I would not be surprised if his knee is not dislocated again. But we're going to take another short break. This one will be short because we've got a lot more to cover before the end of the hour. But that will wrap things up on the Browns, because if I talk any more about the Browns, I'm going to start crying, and we don't want that. So I'll be back after the break to talk college football, Crew, and Columbus Blue Jackets. This is Jen B on the Show of the Land, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio. The IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So we'll get into some college football, not as depressing as the Browns. Ohio State played Western Kentucky on Saturday, and they won a whopping 63-10. On the first drive, on 4th and 5, McCord threw a 43-yard pass to Igbuku. And then Trace Henderson had a 20-yard touchdown run. McCord was 4 for 5 on that drive, resulting in a 7-0 score. McCord was sacked and fumbled with about 5.5 minutes left in the first quarter, and Western Kentucky was able to get a field goal out of that. Then Henderson had another touchdown run for 7 yards, bringing the score to 14-3, and then Western Kentucky scored another touchdown. And I was thinking, oh, brother, are they really going to play this poorly against Western Kentucky? But then McCord had a 75-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Trainum had a 40-yard touchdown run, and the score was 28-10. And then the defense forced a fumble with about a little less than 3.5 minutes left in the second quarter, and that resulted in McCord throwing another touchdown pass to Igbuku for 15 yards, bringing the score to 35-10. And then McCord had a 19-yard touchdown pass to Igbuku to bring the score to 42-10. And that was the score at the half, and I had to switch to the Guardians game, so I didn't watch the rest. But the game, Devin Brown ended up playing most, if not all, of the fourth quarter. McCord's final numbers for the game were 19 for 23, 318 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned it last week, but he has been named the QB1, so he will be the starting quarterback going forward. And next week starts the real games. Next week they will be playing Notre Dame in South Bend. So that will be their first real test. So we'll see how they hold up against another ranked team. Mount Union played at Marietta and won 28-0. In that game, quarterback Braxton Plunk became the all-time completion leader with 947 completions. Wide receiver Wayne Ruby became the all-time receiving yards leader with 4,706 yards. And linebacker Rossi Moore set the school record for most tackles for loss in a single game at 6. Next week, they will be playing Muskingum. Akron lost to Kentucky 35-3 and will be at Indiana next week. Kent State won against CCSU 38-0, and they will be at Fresno State next week. Ashland played Hillsdale and won 38-14 and will be at Tiffin next week. Youngstown State played Robert Morris and won 48-28, and they will be at Northern Iowa next week. Notre Dame of Ohio was at Glenville State and lost 24-21, and they will be playing Fairmont State next week. Tiffin was at Northwood and won 34-27, and they will be playing Ashland next week. Findlay was at Lake Erie and won 45-3 and will be at Hillsdale. Heidelberg played Ohio Northern and won 35-14 and will be playing John Carroll next week. The Crew had a game against Orlando City. Unfortunately, they lost 4-3, but Cucho Hernandez did score one of those 3 goals, making him the 4th in club history to have 10 goals and 10 assists in a single season. Their next match is tomorrow at Chicago Fire, and then they also play Saturday versus FC Dallas. And the Crew is currently 5th in the Eastern Conference. So we'll see what happens with them, but hopefully they'll get a win or 2 out of the next couple of matches. And then our Columbus Blue Jackets had a prospects tournament in Traverse City over the weekend. They had 3 matches or games or whatever you call them in hockey. The first one was against Toronto, and they won 7-3. And then they played Detroit and won 10-7. Adam Fantilli, their first round pick in this year's draft, had 3 goals, giving him a hat trick. And then they played Dallas on Saturday. I was able to watch part of it. I missed a little bit of the first period because I was having trouble getting it to play. But once I got it up, I was able to watch it. And it was, I will tell you this, it was really weird watching it because they play on a community rink. So it was really small. And I'm watching it. I don't watch a lot of hockey, but I have watched some hockey. I have watched Olympic hockey. I dated a guy in high school who played hockey, so I have seen some hockey. And when I turned this on, I was like, why does it look so weird? So it was a community rink, so it was like half the size of a normal rink or something like that. I don't know. It was really small. Because normally, it's kind of like watching soccer. Like, it doesn't fit on the screen. But it, like, the whole rink fit on the screen, and I was very confused. But they did make a couple of comments during the broadcast that it makes it very difficult for the goalies because they don't have as much room to maneuver. And the nets move. So goalies tend to lean on the nets and to give themselves like a push off and stuff. And they had to keep stopping the game to put the nets back where they were supposed to be. So that was interesting. But anyway, they lost 6-3. So bummer, but they did come in first place. Actually, it was a 3-way tie for first place, but they came in first place in the tournament. Then following the tournament, Mike Babcock resigned as head coach, and Pascal Vincent was named head coach. There was some controversy surrounding Babcock. Apparently, he had asked players to show him personal pictures, and my understanding, based on some statements from players and from Babcock himself, is it was an effort to get to know the players better, like asking to see pictures of their families and things like that. And there was a podcast that blew it way out of proportion and made it sound like something that it wasn't. But it still resulted in some controversy, and as a result, the team and Babcock made a mutual decision for him to resign. The players, from what I have seen, are excited about Vincent and are looking forward to the season. It has brought them all closer together, and things are looking up. Everybody's excited for the season to start. Preseason will be starting on Thursday. They will have their first preseason game on the 24th at Pittsburgh. And then the actual season starts in 23 days. So that is exciting. And I believe the Cavs will be starting around the same time. So, yay, Cavs and Blue Jackets. So, if the Browns completely disappoint now that Nick Chubb is no longer part of the lineup, I'll have something else to concentrate on since the Guardians will be done soon. But it'll be interesting to see how all of this ends up playing out. As of right now, the Crew are in the playoff hunt. The Guardians are 7 games. It might be 8 games now. I didn't check yesterday after the loss, but 7 or 8 games out of first place in the Central, and they were, the last report I saw, 11 games out of the wild card. So I think the wild card is pretty much shot. I mean, first place pretty much is too, but there's still a chance. But on the college football front, Larry B in the chat says, UMU, Purple Raiders. Yes. Mount Union is quite impressive. So I'm still trying to figure out how to watch their games. I know I can stream them, but I didn't get a chance to try and figure that out on Saturday because I was trying to watch too much at once. And I was confusing myself. Just trying to watch Ohio State and the Blue Jackets and the Guardians and trying to see if there were any other college football games that I could get in this region. So that was fun. But I had my TV internet set to the Blue Jackets and I didn't want to lose it. So I didn't try and find Mount Union on Saturday because I didn't want to lose my place for the Blue Jackets. So I will try and watch Mount Union next Saturday because Ohio State doesn't play until like 7:30. So I have all day to figure out how to watch other teams on Saturday. The Guardians will be playing at some point on Saturday, but I can watch the Guardians on my phone very easily. I have an app for that. So I will try and figure out how to watch Mount Union this week. I have been trying to watch them the last couple of weeks. They were off, not this past week, but the week before on their bye week, so I wasn't able to watch them then. And then they played, I think, at the same time as Ohio State the week before, so Ohio State is on TV, so I watched that one. You know, that's just how it goes. But we will see what happens with the Browns. I will have updates for you, you know, of course, next week on what's going on there, what they're planning to do with in the running back room. And we'll talk about how they looked against the Titans. Hopefully it's better than they looked against the Steelers. And better than they looked against the Bengals, frankly. Because, I mean, though they won, it wasn't the greatest outing. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But, fun stuff. And then the Guardians will be playing here in a little less than an hour, so I'll be tuning into that. And I'll have some Guardians updates for you next week. We'll have some more college football updates. We'll have some Blue Jackets preseason. Actually, maybe. Their next game is the same day as my podcast, so it'll depend what time it is. So, but I will have some crew updates on a couple of games that they have going on this week, and we'll go from there. But still, I can't get over this Nick Chubb injury. I just can't. Like, I literally just, it was so awful. I was behind on the game on TV because we had paused it for some reason. I don't remember what it was, but we had paused it, so we were a little bit behind, and I picked up my phone and I saw a tweet that said Nick Chubb was hurt, and I looked at my husband and I said, "That's it, Nick Chubb is hurt, turn it off, I don't even want to see anymore." And he was like, "What are you talking about? Nick Chubb is running the ball right now." I was like, "We're behind. Nick Chubb is hurt. I just read it. I don't want to see it." But he didn't listen, so I had to see it. And then it was just sadness. Just sadness. Like, I couldn't even be mad about the loss because I was just sad. Just sad. Because Nick Chubb is just, as I think it was Taki put it, Nick Chubb is the heart and soul of this team. So, and Joel Bitonio said, you want 53 Nick Chubbs on every NFL roster. He's just the type of guy you want for every position on your roster. 100% dedicated to the team, 100% dedicated to football, 100% dedicated to winning. And he's just, I feel so awful for him. And he dedicated the season to Jim Brown. So, yeah, there goes that. And he was on pace for a really good season. I believe he was at 72 yards when he got hurt, and that was before halftime. So, bummer. And he had 107 against the Bengals, so what could have been, what could have been. As we say in Cleveland, there's always next season. Well, that's about all for tonight. Thank you for joining me, Jen B, tonight on the Show of the Land. Be sure to follow me on X, Instagram, and Threads at BelieveLandGirl, on TikTok at Jen.BelieveLand, and that's Jen with 2 N's. And then you can follow the show on X at Show of the Land IE. Next up will be the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Catch me next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Show of the Land for more on Cleveland and Columbus sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great night, Cleveland and Columbus.